Hello and welcome to the Aid Station. I'm Chris Robb, and today hugely excited to be heading across to China for only the second time on the Aid Station. And I think people all over the world in the industry are fascinated and interested to know what's happening in China. So we head to Beijing, where we today meet Julia Cui, who's the founder and partner of CGX Management. Hi Julia, great to see you. Thanks for making the time.
Hello, Chris. I'm so glad to be on this aid station and glad to share the story about China.
Yeah, wonderful. As I said, I think there's a real fascination with what's happening there, and obviously lots of, countries around the world in different stages relating to COVID. I'd love to start with a little bit of your background. You've got a fascinating background in broad sports, and love you to share a little bit of that with us, please.
Yeah, okay. My background in sports actually starts with Octagon, the American sports marketing, the global sports and entertainment marketing firm. I worked there for like 12 years. So because my company, Octagon, at that time, they are the first company who buy out the Beijing Marathon. And then they set up the first example of a commercially successful marathon in China. So at that time, we had Beijing Marathon and Hangzhou Marathon. Hangzhou is a city where Alibaba is. So Hangzhou Marathon, and also we started the North Face 100 China stuff from 2009. So that's the time I had experience with the running events. But aside from that running events, actually my professional background starts more from the sponsorship consulting. So I started from like the Beijing 2008, the sponsors consulting, and including their Olympic sponsorship, like leveraging consulting, bidding consulting. And then we also like provided consulting to those property side, including like Chinese Olympic Committee. We did the commercialization of this whole Chinese Olympic Committee from 2007 to 2009. So the result is that actually originally their revenue in 4-year cycle was just like 80 million RMB. And then after that, then they had from 2009 to 2016, after our work, that was like 3 billion RMB. Wow. So that's a big jump. And then we also provided consulting to Badminton World Federation. So what you see, their brand structure and their website, we did quite a lot of consulting work in 2009. We also like worked on like Asian Beach Games, like their whole marketing strategy and plan. So we have quite a lot of experience in marketing of sports property. So and then after like I left Octagon in 2012, and then I started my own firm. And then from 2013 to 2016, so CAA, the Chinese Athletic Association, was one of my consulting clients. So we at that time they would like to set up a system which could set up a long-term foundation for the future growth. So it was at that time we started, I helped them to design the strategy and then the whole management system and also the IT infrastructure. So we we organized the bid and secure sponsors for them to set up an IT platform and then set up all the standards. And then that really boosted the whole development of marathon and running events later. And then from 2016, then we with CGX Management, then we started providing training the event organizers in China. So in the from 2016 to 2017, our focus was more on the running race organizers because they really need at that time the biggest shortage in this industry is really the talents. Mm-hmm. And then most of them they come from outside this industry. What they need. They have a lot of working experience, but they don't know how these events should be run. So that's what we did. And then we worked with New York Road Runners, with Kyle McLaughlin, and with also like Tokyo Marathon organizing committee. They helped us a lot in providing the very advanced knowledges and trainings in China. So actually it's a lot of best organizers like from Shanghai Marathon, and Xiamen Marathon, and Chongqing Marathon, Wuxi Marathon. They all benefited from this this international support. Yeah. So now we have already started an online learning center. We try to reach a much wider group of these event organizers. We also expanded not only to running, but also like to the other like sports.
Wow, wonderful story, and absolutely this knowledge sharing all over the world. And I think for me, that's been one of the real wins. We were talking before we came online about, Kyle McLaughlin, so generous with his knowledge sharing. We've had him on a number of MPW webinars, but the benefit that the industry is getting of this collaboration across verticals, across countries, and obviously that's, MPW at the heart of that as well. But really great to see. Congratulations on that work. Obviously, things seem to open up in China. We were reading stories of 25, 30,000 people events, but we were talking beyond line, the Delta variants there now, some quite significant limitations happening. Tell us about the current situation, please. You were in Germany, you came back, you're now in Beijing and been there for a while, and share your personal position and also how the industry is tracking at the moment.
Yeah, actually, it's I think from February last year, from 2020, this whole industry is facing a very serious challenge, because at that time it was the COVID-19 that started from China, and we don't really know what to do, and the whole industry doesn't know when it could recover. So basically, at that time, we already like launched a lot of like supporting webinars, like regarding how you do online marketing, and then how you can activate your fan base, and did all of these the webinars to support them. And then luckily, it's from last July, it started to, like in China, it's basically most of the events they opened up. Like it started from golf tournaments. The golf tournaments, they started pretty quickly. And then the marathons, the first marathon last year was in September, early September. That was Thailand Marathon. That's got a huge success. Yes. And then that organizing committee, because they are also our students, they said that they kind of feel that, okay, we just did what we should do. And then we didn't realize it's so popular, because people have been waiting for this for so long time. And then after that, then the challenge for everyone is that it's such a short time period. It's basically from September to like this January. All of the events were packed in all of these 4 months. And then the resources is extremely limited. But luckily, it's everybody, they hosted a pretty successful event. I think it's because in that during the COVID-19, when everybody was like had no live events, they did a lot of preparation. Mm-hmm. And then all of these events was pretty good last year. And then in this year, actually, it was pretty smooth until May. And then you know that there was the May 22nd tragedy in Beijing in the trail running events, in the 100K trail running events. And that one immediately got a like huge pause on this whole industry. Basically, after that, we see so many announcements of like cancellation of the events, so that we really understand. And then after that tragedy, actually on that day, we started to launch also a live webinar. We invited those medical aid experts to check on what is wild aid situation and how you handle these outdoor risks. And we did 3 days, and that got very positive feedback. A lot of media, they attended our webinar, so that they covered many of these authoritative media. They attended our webinar, so they understand how our industry works, how this event management works. So that helped a lot in this a correct opinion about how it happens. Mm-hmm. But still, unfortunately, a lot of like mainstream media, they reported this event as happening in marathon event. Mm-hmm. So they didn't know the difference really between marathon and trail running, and they kind of feel this is all running and then this is marathon. Yeah, so that's why also like the marathon events was also like highly impacted. So after May, actually in all of these provinces, like many provinces, they launched like training on the outdoor security, and then how to like do this risk management in like outdoor events. And that has been like, I think until like July. But then since July, because when everybody thought like the events in September, it should be recovered, but then the COVID-19 with the Delta, the new Delta, it comes, and then so all this policy like it's got much stricter. now. So we don't know whether it could open up very soon in September. Most of the events in September, they have announced that they will delay.
Or delay. And you're saying at the
those-
moment, before we started recording, you said fundamentally the limit is 500, 1,000. It's like
exactly.
cycling events that being able to happen because they have more social distancing and so on. Yeah.
Exactly. Like the marathon, the major marathon, they have to delay. But then like the 500 people, the events under like 500 people, purely outdoor is still happening. Like this Monday, we just interviewed one cycling race organizer, and he will have a about like 500 people race in the mountain. That's all supported by the government.
How's the industry managing, commercially? Is the sort of double whammy of the tragedy and the pause there and COVID, is that meaning that some organizers have gone out of business? Is it meaning that sponsors are pulling away from the event because they see the risk of bad publicity that one event created? What's your kind of sense of the broader impact on the industry longer term or medium term?
Exactly. Actually, last year we did a survey. Of this industry. It's already, at least with our students, mostly with our students, like 30%, they're already out of this industry.
Wow.
30% last year.
Yeah.
And this year, I think a lot of, we see, that's really hard for us because we see many of our students have been trying hard in this industry like for 5 years already. Yeah. But then I see this year is extremely difficult for them because everybody thought they could recover this year. And then it's true that because the government, that they're not to support, and then the sponsor, that they're not to sponsor. So I think it's more a problem of confidence and also a timing. It depends really on how much your cash reserve are, how long you can sustain. I really believe that if for like somebody like for those organizers who are like more financially prepared, if they can insist and longer into maybe like November and December, then they will get much bigger opportunity. Because last year that's what happened. Last year, those who like had continued until like September, they got much bigger opportunity because there's so much needs from the government and also sponsors, and also it's so popular with the runners. But now it really depends on like originally how you are financially prepared.
Mm. And so fundamentally the commercial model, you've got all these runners and you had this massive boom in China that I think many of the world's been following for a while in terms of numbers. Obviously it's driven by, central government health initiatives wanting to get the Chinese population active and healthy and recognizing the value of sport in that. And obviously mass participation's a large part of that. The commercial model, I would imagine, like many countries in Asia, is totally dependent or very much dependent on government and sponsor funding, because the amount of money that participants are paying, obviously disposable income levels are rising in China, but there's still that need that without government support or sponsors or a combination of both, the events just aren't commercially viable. Would that be right?
It is true. Actually, it's most of the funding comes from the government.
Yeah. Still
from the government. It's actually still the government funding. They all of these provinces and the local towns, they thought that like running events is highly promoted, so it's very safe to organize running events. So that's why, and it also really helps the travel tourism and also the consumption. So running events has been very popular at government level. And then sponsorship, I have to say that it's a lot of government-funded events. They are not really what's really skilled in like attracting sponsorship. Mm-hmm. It's only those like who are at a higher level. They have a very professional team. Then they are pretty good in like sponsorship. But then the others, they are not. That's well. But we also have seen organizers like they are totally relying on the registration fee. They design very tailor-made packages, very good experiences, and it's true that quite a lot of runners they will pay for that. Mm. And then there are like small organizers they could survive just with this registration fee. Yeah, and also we have organizers like last year they have organizers like organizing like water run, And then it's just relying on the virtual experience, and they did commercially pretty successful.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the consumer in China is very digital, tech savvy, massive mobile phone penetration, and we've been speaking on many of the MPW webinars that the blended future is definitely here to stay. So good to hear you confirm that's the case in China as well.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. And so, one of the other things I always like to speak about is leadership. And, clearly you've played a leadership role in the industry. I'm interested, any kind of tips, anything that you would share with the audience in terms of your leadership style, people that have inspired you to lead, and how that kind of plays out in the Chinese context with, top-down directives of health and well-being. How do you be a leader in the industry that is able to support that and pick up on those opportunities that's being created?
In China, we have a word we say serving the people.
Mm-hmm.
Serving the people. Yeah, I think that's what I didn't really take myself as a leader, but apparently a lot of people thought so. They were saying that I am the kind of the leader or the icon in this running industry, and we are the what's like a dean of training all of these event organizers. A lot of people say so, but I kind of think that's because I had all of this leadership training from my former boss, who is Ivan Brixie, the former boss in ASEAN Asia. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel that it's more that what are the value you would like to create for this society. Because I was very weak in sports when I was in school, in university, and I kind of hate sports. I can't run really.
Wow. Yeah.
It's really after my company, they are organizing this Beijing marathon, and I started to run from the 10K and then to full marathon. In this whole progress, I realized that I'm so touched by this power of improving yourself through sports. And I also practice dragon boating. I love dragon boating. Mm-hmm. So, and then all of this changed me. So that's why I think that when I was saying about this leadership, it's more about my internal motivation about sharing this experience, sharing this power to more people. I understand that though I have been changed, a lot of people, they don't really understand the power of sports. Mm. They haven't participated, and they don't believe they can change. So that's the only thing. I think drives my my work. And then we also, most of my students, they have this internal drive, because a lot of students, some of them they are really entrepreneurs. Some of them even they are successful entrepreneurs in other industry. They just, because running changed them, and then they would like to share it and promote it to more people. So I see that a lot of them they feel inspired, and then they would like to insist because of this. So I think all of this leadership is more about a common vision and a common internal drive that you would like to do something together with a lot of these people. Yeah.
Wonderful, and serving people at the heart of it, and that's obviously such a huge opportunity in our industry, and I see that passion all over the world. I'd love to pick up on that ability to change people. That seems to have a strong health connotation. You spoke about government involvement, and we all know, and it's globally publicized, the Chinese government focus on health. But when you spoke about these events being funded by local governments mostly, when you sit at the table with those local governments, are you sitting with health departments, or are you still primarily sitting with tourism and sport when you get that local government support in China?
It really depends on what are the level of these events. If it's a large scale one, like a city marathon, it's actually it's municipal, even mayor or deputy mayor level. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then if like the sports bureau, they are more doing the operation and the coordination of the other departments. But then it's the deputy, at least the deputy mayor would have to chair this whole process, do the coordination. But then if it's a small events like 500, then that's you don't really need this sports bureau, and so maybe that's just a department in the sports bureau. They will help you. So it's kind of in China, actually the divisions is separated into there is a mass participation, like a mass participation sports division in most of these sports bureaus, and also there is a youth sports division in that, and also there is a social sports division in this sports bureau. So they are in charge of like different parts, and then so they have all of their funding. And what we see is that the investment on the mass participation sports, they got much more funding than like 5 years ago.
Wow.
So that's why they buy these, they pay for these services from these event organizers, and even like virtual run events, they pay for that. They pay for this organization.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I don't think in all of, I think I've now, on the aid station, I've interviewed guests from 53 different countries. And this is the first time in all my 35 years in the industry, I've heard of government departments which have a mass participation division. Mostly we're an afterthought all over the world. And this is a wonderful case study to be able to share. Wow, thank you for sharing that. That's quite fascinating. As always, time runs very fast, and I always like to end with something inspirational. You've clearly inspired many people, but from your perspective, Julia, is there an inspirational story that you'd like to leave the viewers with, please?
I think there's a lot of stories has been inspiring me in this industry, and my personal feeling is that this industry is so interesting after time goes by. There is a power of time in it. Because actually, like with the North Face 100 event, we started in 2009. We started in 2009, and I was a race director from 2010 to 2011. At that time, there is 100 to 200 100K runners. A lot of them became my students in the event management.
Wow! And
then now they are creating like some of the top events in China. Top trail running events is coming from that. These are the runners like 10 years ago. And not yesterday, like last week, it was announced that the UTMB Chinese ambassador, there is 2, and one of them are the runner-up in my first year events in 2009.
Wow.
So we sent him to UTMB, I think in 2010. So he was the first runner of UTMB from China. And then he's now the ambassador.
Wonderful.
So I see it, this whole industry is really unlike the other sports. So like especially running is unlike the others. It's kind of along with the time you see what you did. There is a very sincere result. You can see that. And they see these people coming back to inspire you again. It's like a torch relay. Yeah,
that's an amazing analogy. Well, it's been wonderful chatting, Julia. Thank you for all your insights, and I hope to continue to keep in contact and see you in many different areas. Congratulations on the amazing work that you're doing in the industry, so needed across the globe, this knowledge sharing and transfer of knowledge. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much. What you did with this aid station is very, very inspirational too. That really helps this whole industry. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.